But don't forget, it's your contributions which keep programs like this coming.
This week on Sneak Previews Goes Video, one of the most lavish and original comedy fantasies ever made from alumni of the Monty Python group. And the first-time video release of a gripping classroom classic from the 1950s starring Glenn Ford. Plus the latest comedy hit with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder suspected of murder. And new at your local theaters, Back to the Future Part 2 with our hero menaced by the 21st century. And Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor in the controversial new comedy written and directed by Eddie Murphy. I'm Michael Medved, and welcome to this week's edition of Sneak Previews Goes Video.
And I'm Jeffrey Lyons, and first up, we look at the big new releases in the comedy section of your video store. And my pick this week is See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Gene Wilder plays a former actor who's lost his hearing, and his friend Richard Pryor is blind. But they refuse to let their handicaps hold them back, even when they become witnesses to a murder. Or in this scene earlier, when they run into a bully in a bar.
Yeah, real comedian. And get off my jacket. Hey, listen. You better watch yourself, or you're going to be going home real early.
Sorry, I didn't know I was standing on your jacket.
What are you, the local constable or something? Stand up.
I am standing.
Eat this.
This guy's tough, Wally. This guy's really
Doesn't
tough.
matter. As long as I can hear him, I can hit him.
He could put a hole through your head,
Him
Wally.
and his holes. So, you ain't talking now, huh? Come on, Big Mouth, say something. Let's get down. Last night I was out with your sister.
Okay, butthead. Hey!
You're all right. You're all right, Sam. You're all right. He's coming.
I'm going to give you the first hit. Now, come on.
He's coming. He's coming, Wally. He's coming.
Come on.
A little lower. He's shorter than you. A couple inches shorter than you. 8 for 12 o'clock. 8 for 12. 8 for 12.
Okay, let's go. All right.
11 o'clock. And right. Come out. Right. Circle right. Circle right. Circle right. Circle left. Circle left.
Stand still, huh?
Hey, ready? 1 o'clock. Good. 12. 5 to 3. I got mixed up.
This picture has a lot of problems with it. I mean, first of all, it is absolutely tasteless. Sure,
Oh, sure.
It has more blind and deaf jokes than you'll ever want to hear for the rest of your life. And plus, it's too long, and it's gross, and it has lots and lots of foul language.
Why didn't you just say but? There you go. But, okay.
I couldn't help myself. You got to laugh at these guys. They are so good. They carried it off. Their chemistry is wonderful. It's the third movie they've made together. And again, you may be embarrassed for enjoying it, but I think most people who rent it will enjoy it.
Well, I like Stir Crazy and Silver Streak, the other two better, but they understand each other's rhythms. They know when to stand back and let the other one get the front of the camera, so to speak. They know when their timing is on. And they understand each other so well that they're almost like one person fused into a walking laugh machine. You continually laugh at
Laugh
these guys.
machine is right,
That's
because a lot of it is very mechanical. There is, I think we should say, a very glamorous newcomer named Joan Severance. who
Oh,
plays,
yeah.
one of the heavies. She's wonderful.
Nothing heavy about her, though.
No, it's something to watch for. Okay, my choice among comedies this week is The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. Now, this is a dazzling fantasy from director Terry Gilliam, the Monty Python alumnus who also gave us Time Bandits in Brazil. Now, this lavish, long, totally original film is based on the tall tales of a real-life Prussian officer in the 1700s.
This is precisely the sort of thing that no one ever believes.
That's because the Baron is always telling fantastic stories about his adventures, like tying a rope to the edge of the moon so he can lower himself, his faithful servant, and an admiring little girl down to earth. Now, this amazing film not only restores your faith in the power of the imagination, it also provides some very silly slapstick.
Careful.
Off you go. That's it! Finito! There's no more rope! Mind out! I'm coming back up! Wait a moment! Here! Tie this to the end of it! Where'd you get this from? I cut it from the top. From the top? Naturally, where else do you think I'd get it from? Yes. Splice it to the end so that we may continue our descent.
Oh, very clever. Great. Why didn't I think of that? That's why he's a baron and I'm a pro.
Well, they certainly landed with a thud when this movie opened in theaters. It was an enormous flop, but I hope people will give it a chance on video. John Neville, who plays the Baron, I think suggests some of the qualities of Don Quixote, and there's that kind of emotional involvement, and every single scene is alive with some amazing and inventive detail.
I disagree. I think John Neville's a fine stage actor. I don't think he can carry it here. The movie's much too long. There's a scene with Robin Williams that is initially very funny, and director Terry Gilliam is a visual genius, it must be said, but the scene goes on and on and on. This movie runs 126 minutes. I think if it had run maybe 90 minutes, it would have been far more effective.
But I think people are going to be dazzled by the imagination and dazzled by the inventiveness, and they really should give it a try, something completely different. Okay, moving on, we go to the drama section of the store, and my choice is a superb new film from 1955 that's being released at long last for the very first time just now on video. And this is Blackboard Jungle, with Glenn Ford as an idealistic first-year teacher who's thrown into a New York City high school where the students are violent and very brutal. And in this teachers' meeting, he tries to force his colleagues to confront the fact that they can't stand up to them.
Would you? They outnumber you, they outweigh you, and they outreach you. Besides, they get clobbered at home and in the streets. They're used to it.
Well, that's why they understand it.
But what's that got to do with teaching?
I never have any trouble, not real trouble.
That's right, Miss Panucci. He's a clobber, you're a slobber. I'm just a nice woman trying to do my job. Now, please be nice, boys. You give them the veteran pitch. I got the Purple Heart, boys. Oh, you tell them about, what is that, that steel plate in your head? Or that artificial leg? You beg for sympathy. Look, I'm a veteran, fellas. Will you help me keep my job? But do you care if they learn anything? No. This guy's lucky they don't kick that artificial leg right out from underneath them. And you're a slumberer. You sleepwalk. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Oh, I mean, every once in a while you make sounds like a teacher. Nobody cares. Nobody listens. I mean, nobody cares, especially you. This man here, he's a grumbler. You hate the kids, you have contempt for them, you condemn them.
What about you, Zola?
I'm a fumbler. I'm not doing any better than the rest.
Well, what are we supposed to do? Butting our heads against a stone wall?
Yes.
With a lot of kids that don't want to learn in the first place?
Yes.
It's all right. How?
I don't know how. I mean, there must be some way to reach them.
This is a great film. You know, I saw it years ago, and seeing it again, it's more germane than ever. Several students were murdered in New York City high schools only last week, and when you see this movie, it might be tame by today's standards at first glance, but it's such a good picture with good performances by very young Sidney Poitier and Vic Morrow, and Louis Calhern there as one of the teachers, along with Glenn Ford in his best role. It's lost none of its punch.
Absolutely not, and I was amazed in watching it at how not dated it is. I mean, It's absolutely contemporary, partially because I think a lot of the problems that these teachers in the film face are absolutely timeless. Same problems that teachers always face and unfortunately still do.
Yeah, there's one scene with Richard Kiley getting his jazz record smashed, and the students are holding him, and his whole collection is just going down the drain. You just want to help him and reach out. The film's power is still there. Well, my pick among this week's new drama releases is a stylish story with more than its share of laughs, too. It's called Under the Biltmore Clock, and it's based on a 1920 short story by F. Scott Fitzgerald and stars Sean Young as a gorgeous gold digger. She finally hooks a fabulously wealthy young man, but when she goes home to meet his family for the first time, she discovers they're a bit eccentric, to say the least.
Mother?
Hush that racket!
Mother? This is Myra.
Myra?
She's visiting us. I told you.
Child.
You want to marry my son, Dalton?
Yes, Mrs. Whitney.
How old are you?
21, Mrs. Whitney.
And you're from Cleveland?
Yes, Mrs. Whitney.
I don't think on the banks of Lake Erie in Cleveland this tape will sell too well, but otherwise this is interesting to see. It's from 1983 from the American Playhouse series, wonderful series of shows, and it's interesting to see Sean Young, who's become a pretty big star at the early part of her career, and Barnard Hughes is very good too in a small role.
Yeah, actually I think it's Sean Young's best performance, certainly the best I've seen. She plays someone who is shallow and superficial, and she does beautifully with it. She makes it very funny and very believable. Also, like all the best short stories, this has a surprise twist in it, which we can't give away, but it makes it very satisfying. I was surprised and delighted by Under the Biltmore Clock. Moving on, we take a look at our direct-to-video category, and here we both strongly recommend a tape called Grizzlies, which is one of the most magnificent of all of the films in the National Geographic series. Now, for anyone who was as captivated as I was by the wonderful new picture, The Bear, or who just happens to be fascinated by these majestic animals, this video provides valuable background, as narrated by another kind of animal, actor Peter Coyote.
In summer, bears that fish have a feast during the spawning run. They savor the delicacy of the fat-rich brains, skin, and roe, much more important than protein to tide them through winter. Massive shoulder muscles make it a powerful digger. And although equipped with the long claws and great canine teeth of a carnivore, 80% of a grizzly's diet is vegetarian: roots, berries, nuts, and greens. Naturalist John Muir wrote of the grizzly, "To him, almost everything is food except granite." Mother and cub share a close bond. A few siblings continue to feed and play together as young adults, but eventually they drift apart. Once grown, a bear will spend most of its time alone and even fear others of its own kind.
They look like us arguing movies. You didn't like it just because Medved means bear in Russian, right? No. This is a wonderful video. After an hour with these Medveds, these bears, or be they sharks or lions, any of the National any of the National Geographic videos, you feel like an expert. Of course you're not, but it's a great feeling.
It certainly is, because the photography is so wonderful. It brings you right up close to the animals as if you're rubbing snouts with them. And one of the things I liked about this one is Bart the bear, who's the star of the new movie The Bear, makes a cameo appearance.
As himself.
As himself, with his trainer. Also the ecological message, the fact that these are threatened creatures, very powerful. This is a video everyone will enjoy. Moving on, we take a look at the action-adventure releases this week, and here I'm proud to recommend a remarkable time travel saga from New Zealand, of all places, and it's called The Navigator, A Medieval Odyssey, and it's about a brave band from a British village in the Middle Ages. In order to save their tiny village from the Black Death, these intrepid adventurers try to tunnel to the other side of the Earth.
We're here!
We're there.
Their mystical mission is to forge a new cross and to attach it to the top of a great cathedral. And they remain true to this task, even though they have somehow stumbled into a big city in the 1980s, where they get unexpected assistance from some skeptical but sympathetic 20th century workmen.
Now we water bath Spike.
No, just let it cool till tomorrow.
No!
Before the dawn, we've got to raise it up by then.
Raise it? Tonight? You want to raise this tonight?
Aye. Our man Connor's on his way to prepare Spire.
Have a beer.
Who are you guys?
Ale.
Let's help him out.
Well, here's where we part company, Mike. I found this pretentious and somber and no fun with a time travel movie, something I had the right to expect, I think. and most of all, difficult to understand between the accents, and it was a dark film. I just did not have fun with this picture.
Well, it's actually a perfect film for video because it is very complex. Part of it is their visions and fantasies, and there's a young man from the village who has ESP, obviously, but it's a perfect thing for video because you really should watch it more than once. Go back and see how all the different elements put together. It's brilliant. It has a terrifically haunting musical score, and it all fits together, and for people who are fascinated by the atmosphere of the Middle Ages, I think they're going to be knocked out by this low-budget but brilliant picture.
Not to sound flippant with your remarks, Mike, but I say buy the album and read the script. It would work a lot better than this. I just did not like this one. Well, my choice in the action category is Breaking Point, a psychological thriller with an ingenious premise. Corbin Bernsen of TV's L.A. Law here plays an American intelligence officer captured by the Nazis who torture him to try to learn the secrets of the Normandy invasion. But when normal methods fail, they then construct an elaborate charade to convince him that he's actually at an American army hospital and that the war's been over for months.
Lisbon was 2 years ago. No. 2 years. Give me that paper. Here, look. Yesterday's paper. Look at the date.
Where have I been?
In hospitals most of the time.
Where am I now?
In Germany. The war's over. Has been now for 16 months. We won the war. Hitler's dead and gone to hell. We're occupying the country.
What's wrong with me?
Right now, you're damn tired.
How did I lose 2 years?
Something very like amnesia. But you're on your way back now, believe me. We've been waiting for you to recover your life, and now you've got most of it.
That's John Glover playing the villain there, of course, the doctor, and he's a terrific villain. He has that sort of silky, smooth, mock sincerity, but underneath you just know he's a Nazi. And actually, Corbin Bernsen, who nobody has ever suggested is the new Olivier, I mean, he's not known for his acting range, is very good in this picture. He really shows us something.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. It's a remake of the James Garner, Eve Marie Saint movie, 36 Hours. As soon as I saw something happen early in the movie, I kind of knew that. And there are some changes made. It's much more sexual. The torture scenes are much too graphic, and they don't use German actors all through it the way they did in that other movie. Having said that, it's still a very good adventure. It's a fascinating idea, and I didn't mind seeing it redone. Didn't matter at all to me. Well, moving on now, our family videos category this week has a selection which is an ambitious new series called Tell Me Why, a video encyclopedia with answers to all sorts of intriguing questions. One of the tapes is called Life Forms, Animals, and Animal Oddities. And like all the other titles, it comes complete with a time code in the corner. That's for a quick search, so you can find it and find just the topic you want. Say, for instance, vertebrates.
What is a vertebrate?
There are many kinds of animals. Vertebrates are birds, snakes, fish, frogs, cows, and man, who all have a backbone. The backbone is made up of small pieces of bone called vertebrae. Vertebrates have a well-developed digestive and muscular system. They have a bony box-like structure at one end of their backbones to contain the brain. Their nerves run together into large bundles, which are carried in a cavity in the backbone. Vertebrates never have more than 4 limbs.
Are our teeth the same as animals' teeth?
Beasts of prey have tearing teeth. Rodents have gnawing teeth. Cattle have grinding teeth. Every animal has teeth suited to its own way of life.
Frankly, I could easily live without all that elevator music in the background, but still, Tell Me Why is a well-done, very valuable series that's obviously designed for intelligent kids who happen to be curious about the world around them.
Moving on to new movies worth a trip to your local theater, the biggest new release is Back to the Future Part 2. Michael J. Fox this time goes forward in time to the year 2015, where he discovers that the familiar square in his hometown has gone through some major changes.
The future.
Texaco. You can trust your car to the system with the star. Checking oil. Checking landing gear.
Shark still looks fake.
What I enjoyed most about this picture was the details. I mean, in the big screen, you can notice up there at a segment, that marquee, it says Jaws 19, and then underneath it says directed by Max Spielberg, which of course is the name of Steven Spielberg's son, who directed the original Jaws, and Steven Spielberg happened to be the executive producer of this film, just a coincidence. But besides that, the whole way they create the future, I thought was brilliant, because it's not sort of the world of tomorrow and everything in the air like the Jetsons. This, for once, is a future you can believe, because you can see the layering. You can see that the past is recognizable underneath all of the new things that they create there very persuasively.
I'm not sure I'll believe there's a Jaws 19 in our future, but
let's hope not.
Let's put this in its perspective. I kind of liked it. It's too bad that they didn't stay in the future. Most of the movie is not in the future. That's the best sequence in the movie. Most of the movie takes place in the past, which he tries to correct. It is much too violent to suit me. I know my son is going to want to see it. Everybody's child is going to want to see it. They didn't have to have the violence, and the story has basically the same characters. It's just a rehash. But as a sequel, it is adequate, I'll say that.
It will give people what they're looking for and what they're paying their money for. But my problem with it was it doesn't have a satisfactory ending. The ending is a promotion for Back to the Future 3.
Coming this summer.
And too many chase scenes, but still, it delivers the goods for people who love the first film. Moving on, also new in your local theaters is Harlem Nights, and this one is written, produced, and directed by Eddie Murphy and starring, well, guess who? Now, as you might expect, it is full of foul language, and the humor is hopelessly, shamelessly adolescent, but still, I'll confess, I got a few laughs out of it in spite of myself. Richard Pryor plays the owner of a swanky Harlem nightclub in 1938, and Murphy is his adopted son and top assistant, guarding their operation against menacing outsiders.
It looks like the competition stopped by to pay us a little visit to check us out. That's Tommy Smalls, runs the Pittyback Club.
Yeah, I know that's Smalls, but who's that girl with her? She is beautiful.
Wait a minute, man. Don't mess around with her. That's the mistress of a famous gangster up here by the name of Bugsy Calhoun.
That's Calhoun's girl?
Yeah.
I heard about her. What would a woman that fine want in a big, fat, nasty, greasy, fat, stank, bloated, cheesy, backed, 12 sandwich eating? What does she want with it?
I don't know, man. She likes fat guys.
Later, Murphy gets involved with a back alley grudge match with one of the club's employees, played by Della Reese.
Come on! Come on!
Oh, come on, Vera. Don't you want to talk about that?
I ain't got nothing to say. You done insulted me, and I got to kick your ass right now. And afterwards, I don't want no hard feelings either. What the is wrong with you? Ain't nothing wrong with me. What the is wrong with you? You done accused me of stealing. The only thing I'm stealing out here today is your face. You out of your mind? Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Come on, sucker. Let's get it on.
I can't believe you like this movie, Mike. I mean, it's typical. That scene is typical of how the screenplay by Murphy depicts women. It's a nasty film. If you take out the dirty words, which really don't offend me per se, but if you take them out, there are so many of them, they become boring. The screenplay runs about 7 minutes. There's a scene where a 7-year-old child commits a murder. That's totally offensive.
No, everything that you're saying is true about the picture,
Sure
Jeff. And the fact is, I wouldn't say that I liked it. What I would say is it delivers the goods for Eddie Murphy's fans. He will give them what they want, and they will enjoy the picture. The fact is that I think that some of the criticism of the film has been unfair. It's people attacking Eddie Murphy because he's a superstar. If he were an unknown named Eddie Mahoney, and this was the first film he had written and directed, as it is, people would say, wait a minute, not great art by any means, but at least it is slick, it is entertaining. This guy shows some talent, shows some promise as a director.
I beg to differ. I'm attacking him precisely because I like him, and I know he's capable of so much better if he perhaps leaves some of the processes to somebody else. It wasn't filmed in Harlem, doesn't look like Harlem, all the cars are mint cars, it's much too violent. So I think he's capable of much better. better.
I think I described the humor in the movie as adolescent. It is. It's like it's conceived and executed by a 12-year-old, but people who know it's an R-rated movie and are looking for that sort of thing, I think will get some chuckles out of it anyway. Now to summarize all of the titles that we've covered this week. Now, under new comedy releases on video, we were both entertained by the occasionally tasteless Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder offering, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, though its sneak preview's violence rating is V for violent, for plenty of mayhem as the two boys try to beat a murder rap. And I was dazzled by the originality of The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, though it's also violence rated V for some vivid, sometimes funny battle scenes from the 18th century. Under drama, we both strongly recommend Blackboard Jungle. It's even more relevant today than when it was made 35 years ago, and its violence rating is V for brutal confrontations with vicious students. And we were charmed by Under the Biltmore Clock, a 1920s story with Sean Young, but with no violence at all, for an NV rating. Under our direct-to-video category, we both loved Grizzlies from National Geographic, with a violence rating of V for some descriptions of those rare grisly attacks on humans. Under action-adventure releases, I was fascinated by The Navigator, with a violence rating of V for violent, for some tense moments involving its medieval time travelers. And we were both intrigued by Breaking Point, with a surprising performance by Corbin Bernsen, and a violence rating of VV for extremely violent because of some horrifying scenes of Nazi torture. Our choice for family and children's viewing this week is Tell Me Why, Life Forms, Animals, and Animal Oddities, a video encyclopedia with plenty of information but no violence, for an NV rating. And under new releases in theaters, we both mildly enjoyed Back to the Future Part 2, with a violence rating of V for lots of fights and endless chase scenes, and I will confess that I did get a few chuckles out of Eddie Murphy's Harlem Nights, even though it is an extremely violent film with an EV rating and some of the smuttiest language ever recorded on celluloid.
Now, many of you have written to us recently asking for information on how to get some of the hard-to-find videos we recommend on our show. And you can get that information now by calling our video hotline, 1-900-IN-VIDEO, where as an alternative, you can also choose additional recommendations for family viewing, video new releases, or a grab bag of video surprises. Now, the $2 cost of this call helps support this show on public television. I'm Jeffrey Lyons.
And I'm Michael Medved. And until next week on Sneak Previews Goes Video, don't forget to rewind that tape.
Next on Channel 2, we have comedy for you, as Rosanna Arquette and David Byrne star in a hilarious encounter with future in-laws. It's Trying Times, next at 4:30. Stick around.